In the sun-drenched sprawl of Sacramento, California, a place some called normal and others whispered about as the land of the magic gems, lived a woman who refused to be ordinary. Her name was Contessa. Now, before you picture elegance and poise, let's clear something up. Contessa was barely 4 feet tall on a good day, built like a perfectly overfilled beanbag chair, and most notably had no knees. None. Her legs went straight from thigh to ankle, like someone skipped a step in the assembly instructions. But did that stop her? Absolutely not. Contessa moved through life with a determined little bounce, like gravity had tried to claim her, and she said,
No thanks, babe.
Her voice is pure valley girl, dipped in confidence with just a splash of chaos and seduction.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but life is literally just vibes and decisions, and most people are bad at both.
Contessa wasn't always this enlightened. She came from a rough patch of life, one of those stories people lower their voices about, the kind where the adults around you don't always make the best choices. And you learn early that survival sometimes looks like blending in with the wrong crowd, just to make it through the day. Contessa had seen things, done things, and trusted people she absolutely shouldn't have. But somewhere along the way, she discovered something that changed everything she was going through. The gems. Magical, glowing, impossible to ignore gems. They came in every color imaginable. Electric blues, fiery oranges, soft pinks that seemed to hum when you held them. And when you'd hold one, oh honey, everything got better. Anxiety? Gone. Sadness? Who is she? A bad day? Never heard of her. The gems didn't last forever, though. The longer you held one, the more it dissolved, like sugar in tea, until it vanished completely, leaving you back in your own reality, just a little more aware of how much better things could feel. To Contessa, they weren't just magical objects. They were everything.
They don't fix your life.
She'd say, twirling one between her fingers.
They just remind you what it feels like when it's not falling apart, which is, honestly, worse, but also better. It's complicated.
Naturally, not everyone agreed. There were skeptics, people who rolled their eyes and crossed their arms, insisting the gems were nothing more than shiny rocks and wishful thinking. They'd scoff at believers like Contessa, muttering things like placebo and delusion, and please stop talking to me in the grocery store. Contessa's official stance on skeptics?
Okay, but if being happy is fake, then why are you so committed to being miserable? Just asking.
And then there was Coonie. Before he became half of one of the most questionable duos to ever exist, Coonie was just another raccoon trying to survive the streets of Ohio. But Coonie wasn't your average trash can enthusiast. No. Coonie had associates. Let's call them entrepreneurial types. The kind who were always involved in something that sounded exciting until something goes left. Late nights, fast moves, and a lot of don't worry about it energy. And then one day, everything changed. A video hit the internet and went viral. There was Coonie, standing upright in the driver's seat of a vehicle, eyes wide, tiny hands gripping a shiny gem like he'd just discovered fire. The clip spread like wildfire. Comments flooded in. Is that a raccoon? Why is he holding that? This feels illegal. Skeptics laughing in disbelief that a raccoon could believe in magical gems. No one knew exactly what happened next, but the story goes that things got messy. His crew scattered. Trust dissolved faster than a gem in warm hands. So Coonie did what any self-respecting raccoon with a mysterious past would do. He left, headed west, toward California, toward the gems, toward something different. Their meeting wasn't memorable in the way you'd expect. No glowing lights, no dramatic music. Contessa was arguing with a vending machine.
Okay, first of all, I paid, so this is literally theft.
She snapped, kicking the side of it with surprising force. That's when she noticed him, a raccoon, standing, watching her, holding a gem. They stared at each other for a long moment. Contessa squinted. Coonie squinted back.
Do you, get it?
She asked. Coonie nodded. And just like that, no contracts, no introductions, no questions asked. They clicked. From that day on, they were inseparable. A knee-less gem enthusiast with chaotic wisdom and a raccoon with a past. He didn't fully talk about, but definitely hinted at during late-night snack runs. Together, they traveled across Sacramento and beyond, chasing gems, dumpster diving, and occasionally finding themselves in situations that required just enough explanation to sound innocent, but not enough to be entirely believable. Contessa would often pause mid-adventure, hold up a gem, and drop one of her famous pieces of wisdom.
Listen, okay? Life is like a dissolving gem. You can hold on too tight and lose it faster, or you can enjoy it while it lasts. But either way, it's gonna disappear, so you might as well look cute doing it.
Coonie would blink, because honestly, that made absolutely no sense. And also, perfect sense. If you saw Contessa walking down the street, you'd probably stare. Not in a mean way, more like, wait, did I just see that correctly? She wore a tiny crop top that did absolutely nothing to contain her. Plush hips and soft stomach proudly spilling over the sides, like they had their own agenda. Her mini skirt now told stories in rips, stains, and mystery smudges from 1-2. Many treasure hunts behind, restaurants and along alleyways. To Contessa, it wasn't dirty. It was experienced.
Every stain is, a memory.
She'd say, inspecting a tear in her skirt.
And honestly, some memories should have been avoided. But fashion is about risk.
Beside her trotted Coonie, well strutted, technically. On his head sat a tiny, slightly crooked cowboy hat. Pinned to his chest was a plastic sheriff's badge that read, Official Law Guy in faded gold letters. It was a treasure Contessa had found deep in a garbage. Can on the rich side of Sacramento, a place she visited often, not for the people, but for what they threw away.
Rich people waste better. It's like their only real talent.
She always said. Coonie wore the outfit with pride, or at least with enough confidence that no one questioned it. Contessa loved a lot of things. Magical gems, obviously, adventure, Definitely. But right up there, like neck to neck with magical gems that could temporarily erase all your problems, was her love for men. Specifically, terrible ones. Not on purpose, of course. Contessa would argue that every single one of her boyfriends had potential, which, in her experience, meant just enough charm to distract from very obvious red flags.
They're like clearance items, slightly damaged, but emotionally affordable.
She explained once. And then there was Cole, or as she called him, Coley. Coley was tall in that awkward, unfinished way, like he grew too fast and never quite caught up with himself. He was pale, lanky, and walked like his limbs were loosely attached. A bold tattoo stretched across his neck that read Sacramento King, which felt ambitious. His t-shirts hung off him like blankets, at least 5 sizes too big, and his shoes, massive, clunky things, made his already thin ankles look like they were trying to escape responsibility. But to Contessa, Coley was the bee's knees or the knees she wished she had.
Well, not exactly, but I love him like a strong 8 out of 10, which is high for me.
She explained once. Coley, for his part, didn't exactly love that Contessa had other boyfriends, but he also wasn't in a position to complain. He had his own situation, a rotating circle of companions who came and went like seasons, each with their own stories, their own drama, and their own reasons for not asking too many questions. So instead, he tolerated it, grudgingly. That night, the 3 of them found themselves at a casino just outside the city. Bright lights, endless noise, the constant hum of chance and bad decisions. Contessa clutched a gem tightly inside her pocket, her fingers wrapped around it like it was the last good idea she had. Coonie peeked out from inside her oversized bag, quietly holding his own gem in his tiny paws. They didn't talk about it. You never talked about the gems in places like this. Too many skeptics, too many eyes. But the effect? Immediate. Slots hit. Cards landed perfectly. Machines chimed like they were personally rooting for them. Win after win after win. Coley blinked at the growing pile of chips.
Okay, that's actually kind of weird.
He muttered. Contessa just flipped her hair. She said casually with a slight wink.
Or I'm like naturally aligned with abundance.
Coonie squeaked in agreement. Hours later, pockets heavier and spirits dangerously high, they'd pulled into a nearby gas station. The glowing sign read, "Get in, get out Mart." Inside, they grabbed the essentials. Roller hot dogs spinning endlessly under warm lights, crinkly bags of chips, and drinks that were probably more sugar than liquid. But on their way out, they saw it. A small pop-up booth set up beside the building, covered in gems, rows and rows of them, glowing softly under a flickering lamp. The man behind the table gave a knowing smile.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. These are like premium vibes.
Contessa gasped. They lingered longer than they should have, carefully picking through the selection, trading cash for possibility. Coonie held one up, chirping softly. Contessa nodded.
I know, right? That one feels like it forgives you, but not completely.
They decided to call it a night after claiming a few new additions to their gem collection. Coley's car, a beat-up old Cadillac that rattled like it could break down any moment, barely made it down the road. The seats were cracked. The radio only worked when it wanted to. Something in the engine made a noise that could best be described as concerning. But it moved, and tonight, that was enough. They'd pulled up outside a laundromat that had definitely seen better decades. Contessa batted her eyes and gave Coley a grin.
Thanks for taking me and Coonie for a little adventure tonight. I love you, Coley Cannoli.
Coley leaned over, giving Contessa a quick peck on the forehead as her and Coonie hopped out of the car.
I love YouTube.
He said quickly. No sooner than she shut the door, he sped off. Contessa blinked.
He's so deep.
She said softly. Inside the laundromat, the air smelled like detergent and forgotten plans. Contessa sat on a cracked plastic bench, her legs swinging slightly as she held her gem close. Coonie rolled around happily in a metal laundry cart, his tiny hat somehow staying perfectly on his head. For a moment, everything was quiet, still. Then Coonie chirped. Contessa nodded.
People think they need forever to fix things. But really, you just need a moment where it feels okay. And if you find that moment, even if it disappears, at least now you know it exists.
She said, looking down at the gem in her hand. As it slowly began to fade, her voice softened just a little.
Plus, like never trust a man who says, I love YouTube, instead of I love you.
Coonie chirped loudly. They both sat there, holding their gems, understanding each other perfectly in a way no one else ever could. As the laundromat hummed quietly around them, Contessa stretched out across the cracked plastic bench, one arm draped over her stomach, the other loosely clutching what remained of her gem. At some point, exhaustion won. Her breathing slowed. Her grip softened. She was out? Coonie, however, was very much awake. For a while, he cruised the laundromat like he owned it, rolling himself around in a squeaky metal laundry cart, spinning in slow circles like a tiny, chaotic king. Every now and then, he'd hop out and investigate the dryers, licking the lint traps with deep curiosity and absolutely no hesitation. Texture to Coonie was an experience. Eventually, even he ran out of energy. With a soft chirp, he climbed onto the bench beside Contessa, curled into a fuzzy ball against her side, and knocked out just as hard. A few hours later, Contessa's eyes blinked open slowly. She sat up, hair wild, outfit unchanged, and glanced around like she had just woken up in a completely reasonable place, which to her she had. That's when she noticed him, a man stretched across the bench opposite hers, completely still, a newspaper draped over his body like a blanket. Contessa nudged Coonie.
Look, Coonie, we have a neighbor. This place is prime real estate.
Coonie peeked up, gave a sleepy chirp, then immediately went back to pretending he didn't care. Breakfast was left over. Cold roller hot dog, slightly crushed chips. Contessa took a bite, chewed thoughtfully.
Honestly, still iconic.
With that, the day began. That meant one thing: treasure hunting. They headed straight for the rich side of Sacramento, where the trash wasn't just trash. Overflowing bins, forgotten mistakes, Contessa dove in without hesitation.
Okay, rule number 1. If it's only a little broken, it's basically new.
She said, halfway inside a dumpster, legs sticking out stiff and determined. Coonie scurried beside her, pulling out objects with surprising precision: a cracked lamp, a single shoe, something that might have been a blender at one point. By midday, they had a solid haul. Not perfect, not clean, but valuable to the right person. That person was Benny, owner of a small, cluttered pawn shop that smelled faintly like dust and second chances. Benny and Contessa went way back. He had long since accepted that she would walk through his door with the most questionable collection of items imaginable, and somehow, some way, make a case for every single one.
One man's trash is like another man's slightly confusing investment.
She told him once. Benny had laughed so hard he nearly bought something he didn't understand. Today was no different. Contessa dumped her findings onto the counter with pride.
Okay, so this is like a vibe bundle.
She explained. Benny adjusted his glasses, inspecting the pile.
You got this from a dumpster, didn't you?
Multiple dumpsters.
She corrected. He chuckled, shaking his head. Benny was a skeptic when it came to the gems. Always had been. He'd heard all of Contessa's speeches about enlightenment, transformation, and her eventual rise to millionaire status.
Benny, one day I'm gonna be so aligned. Money's just gonna, find me.
She'd say, pacing dramatically. He'd lean back, arms crossed.
I'll believe it when those magic gems actually do something.
Still, he never judged her. And more importantly, he always bought her stuff. Benny said, now smirking.
Remember those flip-flops you brought me?
Oh my gosh, the Louis V's.
A full dumpster. Tags still on. Questionable authenticity. Benny had sold them all with a handwritten sign that said, good as the authentic Louis V's. Half the price. Full confidence. Gone in 2 days. Contessa needed another load like that. That's the stuff Benny really loves. Still, he gladly accepted her half-valueless haul she came with today. With a little cash in their pockets, Contessa and Coonie were back on the move. And hungry. Very hungry. They made their way to the nearest get-in, get-out mart, scanning the aisles like professionals. Contessa held up a snack.
Okay, but this feels like lunch energy.
Coonie chirped in agreement, already holding something he absolutely didn't need. They stood in the checkout line while Contessa scanned over all the merchandise they had in the glass case under the counter. Her eyes lit up over every cool-looking Zippo lighter they had.
Coonie, look at this one. I need that.
She'd say with no intention of actually buying it. The cashier checked them out, and yet again they were on their way. Then came the park, their spot, a quiet patch of grass beneath a wide, shady tree. Contessa plopped down, crossing her legs as best as physically possible for someone without knees. Coonie settled beside her, both of them pulling out their gems. For a moment, they just held them, breathed, let the world soften around the edges. Then, Coonie chirped. Contessa nodded.
Okay, wait, that's actually a good dream, but maybe less. Stealing? I'm just saying, if we're gonna be rich. We should, ease into it.
Coonie squeaked defensively. Back and forth they went. Coonie chirping, Contessa translating. Some dreams were ridiculous. Some were oddly specific. Some were quiet. Real. Contessa leaned back, staring up at the sky.
I think I want to leave Sacktown one day. Not because I hate it, but because I want to come back different. Upgraded. Yeah, no.
She admitted. Coonie chirped softly. She smiled.
Yes. You'll come with me too.
She held up her gem, watching it glow. Then, of course, came the wisdom. She said, serious for just a second.
Listen, dreams are basically like coupons for a life you don't have yet. Most people just forget to use them before they expire.
Coonie blinked, paused, then chirped like that was the smartest thing he'd ever heard. A breeze passed through the tree, leaves rustling gently above them. The world felt okay. Not perfect, not permanent, but okay. And for now, that was enough. Contessa stretched out in the shade, closing her eyes.
All right. Power nap before chaos tonight. That's all. And wasn't it totally iconic? If you want more episodes, like, share, and subscribe to help support my creator, bring you more of my content. Once I get 100 subscribers, my creator will release a new episode. Do you think you could, help? Listen, it's not easy being ridiculously adorable and making this many memories at the same time. So if you're thinking about passing on subscribing, then you'll miss out on all the fun. And that wouldn't be very iconic of you.